It's been a very volatile start to December 2025 so far. Very negative at first, and now a little bit more positive. And there's also been Thanksgiving, Black Friday sales, all that kind of stuff. So you may have missed these developments, but I want to make sure that we cover them and we give them the attention they deserve. Coinbase Ventures, they just gave us a peek into what they want to invest to for 2026. And of course, they are very much the smart money. Everything as far as what they're interested in breaks down into one of four specific main themes. And so today I want to get into these themes along with a couple of projects that we like in each respective area. Even if you don't mirror these investments one for one, it always pays to know what the smart money is up to. Welcome to the channel. My name is Maddie and this is Altcoin Buzz. All the best of luck if you choose to invest, whether that's, doing what Coinbase Ventures is doing or otherwise. I wish you well. Just remember, I am not a financial or investment advisor, nor is this video official financial or investment advice. All right, let's get right into it. The first area in which Coinbase Ventures is very interested in is RWA Perps, real world assets, perpetuals. And Coinbase calls this theme the quote, perpification of everything. The idea here is taking real world assets, whether they're listed stocks, but it could also be real estate, right? Whatever, pretty much anything else, and then creating perp markets for them. Because after all, they don't need to come on chain if they don't want the greater liquidity and broader access that a global audience brings. And so effectively, the Coinbase thesis here is that issuing a perp for whatever asset, whatever you have in mind, is going to be faster, it's going to be more compliant, and it's going to be more flexible than tokenization. And actually, in this case, we'd have to agree, tokenization has more compliance questions, as well as needs for, in many cases, more active custodians of the given assets, whereas perpetuals issuance could theoretically involve a custodian, or it could possibly be a lot more decentralized. CB Ventures here talks about two different specific use cases. Number one is exotic assets, and number two is macro asset exposure. In terms of exotic assets, perpetuals offer more flexibility because they don't need to secure the asset itself. So this lets markets create perps on typically illiquid assets like gems or paintings, as an example. And then with macro asset exposure, perps are going to allow traders of all types to find assets to hedge. They want to hedge against positions like being long oil or gold, maybe interest rates. The fact is that we don't currently have this operating in our markets, but chances are that we will soon. That's exactly the point that Coinbase is making here, and that's what they're banking on. So in terms of the perpification of everything and our picks, the obvious choice here would be the perps exchanges themselves. So Hyperliquid, Aster, and in more specific asset classes, we actually like Proppy, that's for real estate, and Goldfinch for emerging market investing. And other than the big perp dexes, most of the projects in this sector are small caps and are still kind of finding their way. But that could spell opportunity if one of them hits. The next sector that Coinbase is looking at here very seriously is trading terminals. And this thesis on trading terminals and specialized exchanges is all about improving and making more professional crypto market trading structure. The Coinbase Ventures thesis here talks about two categories in particular. Number one, alternative prop AMMs, and number two, trading terminals for prediction markets. For AMMs, the idea is to be a little more protective of market liquidity because we don't want manipulative market makers to get all kinds of easy access to those funds, right, by triggering things like stop losses. All of those liquidation heat maps that you see on X, this is exactly what they're talking about. How Binance or Wintermute or whoever really is specifically targeting leverage traders. They trade at the point that these traders get liquidated out of their trade due to the leverage used. And websites like Arkham that you see here, these help us to track what the market makers are doing. You can catch them red-handed in some instances. You can see them trying to manipulate prices for their own benefit. And then we also have prediction markets, and they are very, very hot right now. And look, some of them really do just straight up equate to gambling at this point. That is true. However, others also see that derivatives like options are also a prediction market. And of course, with options, you are predicting a specific price for an asset within a certain period of time, without having to buy that asset itself. And so the idea of trading terminals for prediction markets builds exactly on this. It just creates more financial products and liquidity that become available across crypto markets. As far as our picks within this sector, Uniswap is the top AMM right now, and a smaller one that we like is Aerodome, which is on Base. They're kind of going through a merger with Velodrome right now, and this will lead to some added uncertainty, but at the same time, buying opportunities. Polymarket is, of course, the leading prediction market, and it's kind of hard to tell since this narrative is so early. We don't know if there are trading infrastructure tools coming from third parties, but of course, if or slash when that happens, we're going to be talking about it. This Altcoin Buzz Spotlight video is sponsored by SWI, because although the market has changed, SWI still keeps pushing and breaking records. The Miston Labs team, the team behind SWI, they keep launching new products. Its ecosystem also keeps growing. And with that, all kinds of statistics that keep showing new all-time highs for SWI. SWI is killing it in all the big sectors that it supports. Big sectors like DeFi, where DEX volume keeps making new records with $175 billion. DEXs, perps, and inflows are all surging into year end. Also, institutions have gained regulatory custody plus liquidity support for SUI. Crypto.com, for example, they recently launched secure institutional custody solutions for SUI tokens. We also have various native stablecoins that are available on SWI. For example, the new native stablecoin USD SUI by Stripe, Circle's USDC, SUI USDE, that's in partnership with Athena, YLDS from Figure, and USDI, which is backed by BlackRock's tokenized money market fund, BULLISH. Look, if you've not yet used SWI, or if you haven't used SWI lately, then come give it a try. Also follow SWI's X account for all the latest updates. Check out the links in the description of this video. Next generation DeFi is next on the list for Coinbase Ventures. This is in the realm of perps again, as well as unsecured credit and online transaction privacy. Privacy, of course, is back in a big way. We've been discussing this on the channel quite a bit lately. DeFi is also making a bit of a comeback, and that's something that I like to see. We are fans. I'm a fan. And the two of these together are sparking a lot of conversations, I think it's safe to say. Anyone can see any transaction right now in Web3, while that's never really been the case in Web 2, right? However, your bank in Web 2 owns you and can pretty much destroy you anytime they want. So that's the trade-off here. Both are kind of crappy options as of right now. And that right there in a nutshell is the real argument as to why we need true privacy for our transactions. Our sector picks here include some of our favorites in the next generation of DeFi. These are Mantle, Morpho, Pendle, and for unsecured lending, Clearpool. And as far as we see it, this is a category, this is kind of a sector that's really going to grow. As such, there should be quite a few pretty big winners in this category. Last but not least here, Coinbase Ventures is considering AI and robotics. This is the last main category today. And the thesis here is that both AI generally, as well as autonomous AI agents specifically, are having a bigger and bigger impact. This is really apparent in all different sectors and industries. Humanity is kind of grappling with this technology, but it's certainly here to stay. And look, what is more and more important is this idea of proof of humanity. And that's the idea of you being you and not some deepfake version of you. A very important but also controversial area of this is going to be how AI agents collect and use our data. Because after all, we want them to be autonomous and do tasks without having to interrupt us and ask us. But what information should they be allowed to access independently if it is our information and if it is our data? Once accessed, for how long should that access persist? And also, how are more sensitive pieces of data treated? Things like financial, medical information. These are the kinds of questions that are emerging that we don't really have answers to just yet. And actually, unlike the other three sections that we've examined today, while we have some picks, especially for things like general AI and AI agents, when it comes to some of these more nuanced kind of new questions, it's just too early right now. We are watching agent launch platforms, so virtuals and AI-specific chains and projects like BitTensor. We're big fans of BitTensor. and Tau. But the whole proof of humanity question is a bit trickier right now. We hope to find emerging projects covering these important questions, but they're just not easily, or obviously I should say, apparent to us at the moment.